Hello, welcome to our next training. We're going to be looking at doing pie charts and donut charts in this session. And this is, like our last one, going to be using one row of data from our SharePoint list. So you do need to make sure you get your total showing in a single SharePoint record, and then you'll be ready to use this type of a charting template. And so this is our next stop for SharePoint Charts Complete training. And let's go ahead and begin. All right, so I'm back to my charts training site. And what we want to do first is go ahead and go to our training site to get our material. So like our other trainings, we need to get an Excel workbook. I've already done that. So you've got an Excel workbook called Wise Industries Category Sales, and we're going to create our SharePoint list from that workbook. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go over to Excel, and I'm going to open up my workbook that I just created, and let me get that. And when you open that, you need to, of course, approve the security setting, and at that stage you need to go ahead and select Table Design, Export Table to SharePoint List, and then just copy in this training site that you've been using for your other examples. So just paste that in there, and then I like to just make sure the list matches. So I'll say Wise Industries Category Sales, next, and then it just confirms. Basically, we've got a text column for the title and a bunch of number columns which are holding our values. That's perfectly fine. Finish gives us confirmation dialog, and then you're done with the workbook. You won't need that at all for the rest of the training. So then you need to go to Site Contents, and that's where you're going to see your new list that you just created. So there it is. I've got one record in there. That's exactly what I want. So I'll just click on that. Now when it imports from Excel, it does something special. It switches it into this grid view, which I want to turn off. I don't need it to be in that format. So I'll go to the gear icon, then go to List Settings, and we're going to switch that. So we'll go to Advanced Settings, and there is a Quick Property setting. We're going to turn that off. And I also want to use the new list experience. Okay, now the list is going to be more the way that I'm used to. And then let's go ahead and make a couple of views just to get ready for our next step. So I'm going to do Save View As, and I'm going to call this Pie Chart 1. And then I'll do another view, and let's call the next view Donut Chart 1. Highlight that. I'm just getting ready. So I like to keep that all items view just with the data for reference. I don't like to modify that one, and then I'll use my other ones for the formatting. So now I want to get links to this. So I like to just save the view again, and that way I get a URL the way I expect. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to add a little tile on my home page so I can get to this later in case I want to take a look at it. So I'll do add a quick link and just paste, and call this pie chart. Whoops, I don't want the .aspx. Let me get rid of that. Pick an icon that matches. I bet if I do a search for pie, I'll find it sure enough. Okay, that's good for now. That would just jump me right to my pie chart once we load that in. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for our donut chart. Doesn't remember our donut chart for some reason. I don't know why that is. Okay, let me do Save View as Donut Chart 1. save. It says it already exists, but it didn't show it to me in the list. Maybe I did. It's a caching issue. Well, SharePoint's acting a little funny. That's okay. Go back to all items. There it is. That was so strange. Okay, so add the view and save. I'm doing this just so I can get the friendly URL that I want to see. So there's the URL that I want, and I'll go back to the home page. I'm going to add another quick link tile. Call that donut chart. Just like that. I bet we're not going to get lucky if we do donut, but I could be wrong. I was wrong. How about that? There is actually a donut image. All right. So we're going to be making a whole bunch of different kind of charts. So that's why I'm putting these tile links, because we're going to kind of fill this up as we go along. So let's start with the pie chart template. Now we're ready for the fun part. So what we want to do is open up those templates from our training screen. And there's links to the pie chart template and the donut chart template on that screen. So you want to get those open in new browser tabs. And that's what we're going to use. So I'm logged in. Make sure you're logged into your account. And then the first thing you should always do with these, what I encourage, is to just browse through the themes. And what you'll find is there's lots of different ways that you can make these look. Now, all of these can be achieved through the configuration settings that you see on the screen. With the charting, there are a lot of configuration settings, and that's just to give you flexibility in order to be able to come up with anything that you want, really. So it's just for your convenience. The themes show you possibilities, so all it's doing is just changing those settings to render different kind of charts. Now recall at the beginning, I said that this renders from a single row of data, which is exactly what we have set up. Okay, so before I start messing around with all the settings, I just want to get a working chart. So that's the first thing that you want to do. So the starting point, we need to know how many fields it is that we're going to have in our pie chart. So let's go ahead and count that up. If I go back over here, what you're going to see is there are actually 7 categories here. And I need to set that in my template and also put in those field names. Those field names are actually named just exactly what you see for those category names. So I need to put that in now. So I need to change SP fields to 7. Notice now I only have 7 slots listed there. And now I need to go ahead and put in those names of those fields. So it's electronic, software, and services. Whoops. Software, services, and then furniture, subscriptions, appliances. Supplies was the last one. Okay, and this is just showing a preview with some dummy data, just to give us an idea of how things will look. So that's all we needed for initial data. So what we want to do is copy template, and I'm just following the directions in the box. Hit OK. Then I can hop back over to SharePoint, click on your view selector, and then select Format Current View. Then Advanced Mode, select all, and paste. Boom, there's our pie chart. Pretty cool. So we got to this stage very quickly. So right away I see something wrong. I don't want that to say my chart. What I can do is change that up at the top where it says my chart. I can go ahead and put in category sales. I can copy that over, or I can reference the title field. That would make it dynamic. It'll use that first column. So if the title field changes, it'll automatically update. So let's try it that way. So just copy template again, and I can just replace what's already over here. There you go, sales by category. That was what was in the title field. See, key on the bottom, it tells us what those different colors are. Now at this stage we can do lots of different configurations of this. So what I encourage you to do is make lots of different views, because it's very simple and fast to do that. So you'll see me do that a lot during this training. So I'll just go right on to pie chart 2. It's almost like checkpoints, if you will. So rather than reapplying the formatting on one view over and over again, realize you can make dozens of views. They're very fast and simple. That way you can have different variations on your chart, so you can toggle back and forth and see your previous work instead of just erasing it by overwriting it every time. Okay, so let's do some different stuff with our pie chart. Let's see what other options are available here. What other things can it do for me? Okay, so let's browse down through the settings. The $sign is a prefix that's showing on my label. So we like that. We'll go ahead and leave that there. The wedge colors is assigned for you automatically normally, but you can override this value. And if you look in the notes section at the bottom, it actually describes what's possible there. You can provide it a comma delimited list of values. So you may have a color scheme that you're looking to do. If you're going to do that, make sure that you use HTML color names. So you can look on the web and find lists of that. So if you want to have more explicit control on those wedge colors, you can do that, and that'll just show in sequence. The suffix would be if you had something after. So it could be the case you might be showing percentages when you're doing a pie chart, and if that's the case, you can just put a % sign in there and it'll just show that after the value. Obviously you wouldn't do dollars and % together, but if you need something like that, that's how you can do it. This next to it's going to be the overall chart width and height. Now I do have more room, so I can expand that a little bit. I can say 1,000. Now obviously we only have so much height and it knows that, so you can see it didn't actually make the pie any bigger. But let's see, do we have any more room for height? No, we're pretty much filling up the height. It's probably best to go ahead and leave that alone. And then you can obviously adjust the font if you want to go for a different look on that. So I don't know, let's go to Times New Roman just to see what that looks like. And then the line color, that's actually the border lines that are running throughout the pie chart. So I changed it to black. That made it a little more of a sharp edge. You can make it a little thicker if you want to. There's a slider here. I just moved it out to 2, so you can make fine-tuning adjustments. You could remove the values if you want to. I don't recommend that. Generally, people want to see what those values are. Rotation angle is an interesting one. It could be that you want to spin that pie around a little bit depending on how the values fall and how you want that to look. So basically that can be a number up to 360 and it shifts it over. Notice that blue starts at the 0 point on that 360 degree axis, and if I move it to 30, you can see it just rotates 30 degrees. So that's what that rotation angle is referring to. Most times you're probably not too worried about that. The background gradient is just providing kind of a nice subtle background. You can play around with those. There's lots of different settings. It just kind of gives you different interesting options in the background. Probably the vertical options are going to be the ones that you're more likely to be interested in. So there's light, cyan, to white, or you can go with some of the darker themes too if you want. There's all kinds of different options. So let's see, all kinds of stuff. So that looks kind of cool. All right, and then at the bottom we've got the key. Now if you have a darker theme, you're going to want to go with different colors. So in that case, you might want to change that. I'm going to switch back to a lighter theme. Whoops, that's the left to right one. I'm going to go with a vertical. Okay, so we'll do vertical, and we'll do honeydew to white. There you Okay, the bottom stuff you're not going to change. The test data you don't have to worry about. That's just what's used in the preview up above, just to give you an idea before you paste over to SharePoint. So really you can just kind of tweak those settings until you get it looking the way you want. Maybe you want the font face a little bit bigger. It really just depends on how many wedges you have in that pie, that kind of thing. And then you can just paste back over. The title color can be set independently. Maybe I want this navy blue for whatever reason. And then the title, I might want it to look bigger. There I just made it 32 pixels. So just make all those fine-tuning adjustments. You can copy and paste until you get it just looking exactly the way you want. So do format current view, select all, and paste. There's the new version of that. One thing I didn't mention that you may want to do is move the key, the legend rather. That is showing at the moment on the bottom. Let's go ahead and switch that just so you can see. I can make that show wherever I want. It can be bottom, top, left, or right. So I just moved it up to the top. You can just adjust these settings until you get something that you like. Here, we'll try that right one, and then I'll copy the template over. So I do format current view and paste. All right, so that pretty much covers it for pie charts. You can have, generally as many values as you need. So in our situation, we had 7 fields, but you can of course increase that. You could have a large amount of fields. You could have that go all the way up to 20 if you needed to. But you just adjust the SP fields count according to whatever kind of pie chart you're going to make. Now, very closely related is a donut chart. And for the most part, it's really the same type of a setup. The difference, of course, is we've got a donut cut out in the middle. Now, what's cool in this one is you can adjust, how big that cutout is. So you might want to tweak that depending on how big your chart is, that kind of thing. But generally speaking, of course, this is going to be very similar in nature to the pie chart. So same type of data set. Here's an example where you can see the wedge colors were put in explicitly. So if you're interested in really taking control of that color palette, you can do that by entering your own colors in there. Okay, so let's go to theme 1 and let's play around with that some. So let's go back to the title field for the chart title. And we need to get those column names in there. So let's do a little copy and paste to speed up that process. So we've got 7 fields. And so I'm just going to replace what's there with my own information. So electronics, software. The next one's going to be services, furniture, subscriptions, appliances, and then supplies is the last one. Okay, there's the key data. So like I said, I like to just go ahead and get the ball rolling by applying a template quickly. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to copy my donut template, hop back over to SharePoint, and let's go to donut chart 1, and I'll just do format current view, advanced mode, select all, and paste, and save. There's my donut. Okay, so that's our initial one. Let's make another view and let's make some different settings just to see some variation on that. So once again, I just need to do save view as, and I can make new views as copies of views really fast, really easy. So that's something you want to do a lot. Okay, so coming back over to my donut chart. So one of the key things, obviously, the defining feature of the donut is you have a cutout in the middle. And so you can see there's a setting for this called cutout percentage, and you can adjust that. Maybe you don't want a really big cutout. You'd like it to be mostly full. So notice I adjusted that quite a bit. Let's do a different background color. So one option you have is just to say, I don't want any background gradient, and you can actually just set a set color. So that's Canvas BG. That's just a set fixed background color. You can click on that. Maybe you just want to do kind of a light, subtle background color. So I just switched that over. And this time let's do the legend on the top, just to see what that looks like. Okay, looks pretty good. Title font size, that's fine. Now we've got the font size also inside the chart. That may be something you want to fine tune, according to look. There's a certain extent you can take that. You can kind of overrun your wedges if you have that being too big, but you can kind of adjust that according to your own taste. That's pretty much it. For the most part, this chart is really working very much in the same type of way as the donut chart. It's just got the cutout in there. So these two chart templates are very similar in nature. Okay, so let me copy that over and come back over to SharePoint and apply that. Format current view, select all, and paste. There we go. There's my donut chart. And that's pretty much it. We're all set. So you make sure you're keeping up with exactly what we're doing in the video. You want your practice site that you're building to match what I'm showing on the screen so that you have something organized. And this is going to be a reference point for you, because in the future, as you build out more of your charts, you can come back to your practice site and reference these charts that you already built. It'll help you remember what the data looked like. It'll help you remember these training examples. And you'll have a nice, friendly tiles-based interface on your home page so you can quickly get to these. So that's it. We covered a really fun, simple, easy to use template here. Two templates, in fact, the donut and pie chart template. And this is really laying the foundation for what we're getting ready to do in upcoming training. We're going to be successively working through more sophisticated charting templates, and these simpler templates that we're doing right now are really getting us ready and prepared so that we can be able to execute on those more advanced concepts. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope you're able to follow on with the practice. If you have any questions, be sure to leave those in the comments under this video, and that's it. Good luck.